Hi class, to begin today's lesson, we are going to be talking about the myths and facts of Indigenous peoples. So first we'll start with the terms. On the left-hand side we have Indian, Native, and Aboriginal. These are all terms that are outdated and we no longer use. On the right-hand side we have the correct term to use, Indigenous, which is an umbrella term for First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. Indigenous peoples today. On the left-hand side, you can see the stereotypical image of what people may think Indigenous peoples look like. Unfortunately, this is a myth. On the right-hand side, you see silhouettes, because an Indigenous person can be anyone. They can look like anyone. They could be you, me, look like your friend or your neighbor. Residential schools. On the left-hand side, we have students all dressed in their own wear, excited to learn. That was a myth. On the right-hand side, all the students have the same haircut. They're all in a line. They all look the same. These students were torn away from their families and put into residential schools against their will. And in the last picture, you can see a young boy who went to a residential school to kill the Indian in the child, is what they said. Life on reserves. So here we see a picture of a nice green field and a nice house. That's a myth. The right picture shows what life on reserves is really like, and this has actually caused a suicide crisis to erupt on reserves because of the poor conditions. Indigenous peoples in the media. Indigenous peoples in movies. So here we have Pocahontas. She's in a canoe. She's surrounded by animals. Peter Pan. The chief has red skin. There are teepees around. What are these movies telling children? Next we have the Lone Ranger. So we see Johnny Depp, who's wearing a crow on his head, and he has face paint. He's wearing long hair with braids. And finally we have Avatar. So this one is a little different, but it still deals with the same thing of an indigenous population and the white man trying to suppress them. So next we have sports. So we can see the logos of various teams such as the Cleveland Indians, the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Washington Redskins. What damage have these misconceptions done? I'll leave you with that question and this little comic strip here.